All right, well, I think we're going to get started. We have a smaller group today, so that might mean a better discussion. But our speaker today is Miss Stacy Kennedy. She's an oncology dietitian and she owns a private practice. And she also does a lot of other outreach experiences and programs that she's going to talk to about us today. So you go ahead and take over, Miss Stacy, and share your slides and get started.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Cassie. And thank you all for having me here today. I'm up in Massachusetts, so it's a bit chillier here. Yeah, it's really great to be with all of you. And so I'm really excited to be here with all of you. I've been a registered dietitian now for over 25 years and licensed in the state of Massachusetts. I'm a board certified specialist in oncology nutrition. So that's like an additional credential that the Academy offers in different specialty areas. And I'm also a certified personal trainer from the American College of Sports Medicine. And so I'm just going to kind of talk through a little bit just about my background and, kind of path, as well as share with you some ideas around how you can explore sort of non-traditional roles in the field of dietetics, or think about other types of opportunities that you may or may not have considered before. I do teach a class. I'm an adjunct faculty at Simmons University in Boston. So I teach entrepreneurship class in the graduate school. And so the class is like literally how to start your business in nutrition, how to launch your practice, or any other business idea. So certainly ask me any questions that you have, like about my experiences or just about ideas that you have. And I'm also a clinical nutrition professor for a graduate school that's out in Arizona too. So having things like this, like it's weird because I'm talking about myself with my picture on it, but it's really helpful for when, you need to send people something or put together like a slide deck about you. I have like a new opportunity right now to do some consulting for an oncology clinic that wants to add like food as medicine programs. So they wanted me to send them information to take back to their directors, right? So it's always good to kind of think about, or for your LinkedIn profile, like how you can kind of describe some of your skill sets. But this is like a whole big picture of lots of different companies and things that I've done. So basically, just to give you like a super brief overview, when I went to undergrad right out of high school, and I was a journalism major. I love writing. I was like editor of my high school newspaper. I grew up outside Washington, D.C., in Maryland. And then like freshman year in our required courses, I discovered nutrition in a biology class and just was blown away. So I changed my major to nutrition and dietetics. I had to go to summer school to graduate on time, but I graduated, 4 years later with a BS in nutrition and dietetics. And then at that time, the path that everybody did was you go right to your dietetic internship. So I applied. I went to Indiana University for undergrad. And I wanted to move back east, and Boston is a really great place for nutrition and medicine. And so I applied to the big internships here and got into one. It was my second choice. So the whole matching thing works. It worked out, which is good. Anybody on now who's a senior and applying, I wish you luck, on Monday when you find out. But so I did my internship at Mass General Hospital in Boston. It was great. I was fortunate. They just basically, I was the only one that got hired at the end of the program. I stayed and worked as an inpatient dietitian for 2 years in pediatrics, the surgical ICU, and cardiac step down. And then, so I did that. So I was there all together 3 years, including my internship. And then I left and went to UNC Chapel Hill to get my master's in public health. And at the time, coming from pediatrics, I was able to get a scholarship from Maternal Child Health Bureau and do a little bit of research while I was there. But getting a degree in public health, I really loved. It was different than an MS degree. And it was just really great to kind of learn how to take working with people one-on-one and kind of apply it to more public health goals. And so after that, I guess right before that, I met my now husband of 20 years, but he basically picked up and moved to North Carolina with me and got a job at Duke while I was there. And then we moved back. He's from here. So we moved back to Massachusetts. And I started working at Dana-Farber. So Dana-Farber Cancer Institute is Harvard's outpatient cancer center. And so it's the top cancer center in New England, top 5 in the country. So I came on as a senior clinical nutritionist, but specifically in the integrative medicine center that was brand new. So I worked for 19 years at Dana-Farber. I precepted interns. I started a volunteer program for undergraduate students to get experience. And I worked one-on-one with people going through their cancer journey, all different stages. But I really got into like media. So I started a web page. This is like in 2007 for nutrition for Dana-Farber. And then there was an app, and it like became a whole big thing that the communications department took over. So I got to do, interviews for local TV. I did a lot of podcasts, a lot of social media lives and things like that. That at the time, it just wasn't such a big thing, and there were YouTube channels. I mean, now it's like everywhere, but so that was like really great. I love clinical work, but it was a lot of, there's a lot of bureaucracy too, working at a big institution. So doing something like running the volunteer program, working in media, it gave me like other stuff to do to keep me like just mentally interested, in addition to the wonderful work of working with patients. And I'd say I had kids, and I kept working part-time on purpose. I wanted a part-time job with benefits so that I could do personal training, open my own practice, be a mom, all these different things. And then about, I don't know, a while into that, maybe 2008, so about 8 years in, I got connected to this person making a documentary about nutrition. And so I ended up being in this documentary, and then that was my first job. Like I literally negotiated the contract from the lactation room at the hospital. Like it's like, there's gotta be a way to like get myself on a path. I was really interested in business. So I became for Reboot with Joe, I became their nutrition director, and really had a role in like keeping everything valid, so making sure to just kind of make sure what they were saying and putting out there was scientifically evidence-based, and doing some, marketing and promotions for them. So I loved doing that. I wrote programs. It was really great. And then from there, I kind of got into the whole startup thing. And so I worked, Ava was a tech company, Upshoot was like CPG company. I opened a juice bar here. I did all kinds of things where I sort of made a job for myself. So I became chief wellness officer at Ava. That like literally wasn't a thing, but I wanted a seat at the table with the other executives. And I had 100 dietitians and nutrition students working for me. And that was really great. And then in California, I was vice president of program development, and I took on customer service. Just really started going from being a consultant for these places, and I wanted to get hired and work there full time. And so I still do some consulting, but I'm mostly focusing on my private practice now. But now that COVID's kind of, decreasing, I'm getting more requests, which is exciting. So like really like startups and business. So these are the things that I think will help you guys. And I'd love to hear like what some of your interests are for after school. If you have any ideas of what you want to do, feel free to like raise your hand or unmute yourself. But these are things I think that would be super helpful if you're thinking about, working, well, even if you're working in a traditional job, so first, like, what is your focus and passion? What is the market? And like kind of find the white space, like what sets you apart. If you have any kind of clinical training, it's a strength. And I know like a lot of people don't want to go into clinical. You don't have to anymore. So if it's really not for you, then you shouldn't do it. But it doesn't have to be forever. And you might get some skills even in your internship or in a clinical job that you can then take with you into other roles and really kind of show your value and really elevate what they're offering in terms of wellness. You can think about finances, developing partnerships and networking, and really just creating opportunities for yourself. None of these things really existed. I just like wanted to do them. And so, you just kind of find a way. It's like a mindset. And so with private practice, it's like the same idea, like really planning and just being open to opportunity. It's a lot of hard work if you want to have your own business. But there's strengths and there's drawbacks to doing all of that. It really just depends on how you want to spend your time and how you see yourself, day to day. So like, think about where you want to work. And these are just a few ideas. Do you want to work in corporate wellness? Do you like doing training sessions? Do you like speaking? Do you like, working in more of a medical setting? So really think about where you see yourself, like in your day-to-day kind of job. And then really kind of getting ahead. So any academic training that you have from school and anything that you get along the way is really going to help you add value into other companies. When I was working for the tech company, in terms of like, when apps were all getting really big, it was like less than 4% of nutrition focused technology companies had a dietitian involved, like less than 4%. And so, the information is coming from Google, health coaches, wherever it's coming from, but it really shows that there's a need and a place for a dietitian or somebody with a background in dietetics to kind of come in and really help. And so there's just a lot of ways that you can do that. And then how to set yourself apart. So, think about what your strengths are and what your interests are, and then really look at what people want and try to tune your messaging to the audience you're speaking to. So if I'm presenting on cancer nutrition to other dietitians, how I share that information is going to be very different than if I'm presenting information on the same subject to patients and their families, or to a business, or in like a worksite wellness. So you really want to think about what your audience wants to hear. And I think like networking is something that's really, really important. And so getting your personality out there to the world is really key. So these are all things you can start doing now, and you can just kind of play around with it, right? So, you can go right into Canva, or however you like to make graphics. You can start, for social media, you may have like a personal account, but you can certainly start a more, sort of like your nutrition brand, and start building that up now, even if you're not ready to offer any kind of services because you're still in school. But if, whether it's recipes or things you've been studying, and, you can just be transparent about where you're at in your journey. But you can start some of these things now to learn, like, how the market responds to what you're posting, or kind of getting your feet wet and understanding how to kind of develop your presence. You can even start like, Wix and many other websites. You can start for free. You don't have to publish anything. Like, you can just start or start a spreadsheet or a Google Doc, just with some ideas. I think if you have an interest at all in private practice, or even just as you think about competing in the job market, having some sort of presence can be really helpful. And just looking for those opportunities. So I'd love to hear from you guys, like some of the things, that you might be interested in, or some questions that you might have about next steps in your career.
I have a quick question. So like, when you talk about those kind of soft and hard skills, how would you recommend like developing those, especially with online being such a bigger impact than it was 20 years ago, and like it's heading even more that way? So even if you're not looking into private practice, would you recommend still establishing that presence and getting those experiences?
I think so. I mean, the reality is, if you're applying for an internship, there's two sides to it, right? Like, one is that any potential like employer or internship director is going to look you up, right? So whatever you have, you want that you're willing to kind of like, share with those groups or anything about you that's like discoverable, you really want to think about that. You want to understand that, people looking to bring you on to their team are going to look you up, and like, what are they going to find? Right. So, you do want to start to think about, even in a more personal account, if it's private, you can do whatever you want, but anything that you have that's public in social media, you want to think that potential employers or graduate professors or internship directors are looking to see. So in that sense, like, just be careful, about, if you're going to have more social stuff, I would probably keep it private, as you get closer to those things. But yeah, I think, I think LinkedIn is a great place to start exploring, and maybe look at other like RD to Bs. You can follow that hashtag, and you can kind of look at what other people in your position are putting out there. And maybe you're not really ready to have like a full LinkedIn profile, but you can start studying how you'd want to describe yourself. Because I would think, as you get closer to applying to internships or other things like that, it is probably helpful to have those sorts of things. I mean, you're going to build like your online, your website, that's like your portfolio for your internship applications, which is another way to kind of practice this. But one of the things I think that was like a mistake in some of the companies, the startups I worked in, is that they waited too long to market themselves. So like in this situation, like, you are your product, right? And so if you wait until your product is like perfect to launch it, you're going to wait too long. And then you're going to kind of be scrambling. If you start building your audience, or start building up, not that like the numbers matter, but you just start getting your feet wet around building up some kind of a presence, even if it's small, the sooner you start in some ways, the better, because it takes time. So I don't think it needs to be a stress. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, you have to have X number of followers on Instagram or TikTok. But I think if it's something that you like, it is where everything's going. So your potential clients are going to be looking. It's a really great way to even connect with colleagues. So I would think about, for you guys, probably TikTok or Instagram, or both, really, as your main sources, and really looking at video content. And it can be simple. But I think the more video content you can kind of push out, and maybe some graphics would, for Instagram, would be helpful. Is that something that you do now?
Not really, like the Instagram or TikTok. I'm not really active on those platforms, but I do have a LinkedIn that I could establish more. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think just like any other social channel, like, you can read other articles that people write, and you can like or comment. I mean, in business, like, there are actual, like, I worked with a LinkedIn coach, which was like super cool. It was like one of the company I was working for in California had us all do that. And it was amazing. Like, she interviews you, she helps you figure out how to like say things, which was so neat. So there is like a whole science to it. But I think the first step is, like, let's say with LinkedIn, is find other people, look to find at least, I'd say, 2 or 3 examples of somebody that you like how they presented themselves, that you'd want to emulate. And then look for a few that you would do it in a different way. Right. So kind of study what's out there, and just think about how you might apply that for yourself. And you don't even have to like do it yet. It's more just to start to kind of study what's going on. And if you don't like Instagram or TikTok, you don't have to do it. There's a lot of ways to, you don't have to do those things. It's more like, if you like it and you want to kind of test it out, you can. But it's not like required by any means, because it can get overwhelming. You've got school as your main focus. There's no doubt that like studying all the community service and other volunteer and work opportunities, those are really the key things for you guys right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Of course. So these are just some examples of areas that have a lot of growing job openings for nutrition professionals. And there are many more, working in education, working in community health, nursing homes. There's a lot of different roles, really just depending on what your interests are. There's a lot of ways to get experience too. So a lot of dietitians, especially in private practice, are looking for students to help them either research topics, create education materials for clients, develop social media content, develop slides for presentations. So, social media can be a way that you can get volunteer or paid opportunities. There are a lot on Facebook in particular. There are a lot of dietitian groups where they're like dietitians in private practice or the unconventional RD. There's some really large groups where you can find opportunities that you might be interested in now. And then, oh yeah, this slide looks crazy, and this is old, but like all the way back in 2017, I went to this, it's hosted by Forbes. It's like a day in New York where they kind of have startups pitch to private equity investors. But this, like, you can kind of read the categories. All of these little symbols are brands. It's from back then. More than half of them, I'm sure, don't exist anymore. But they're all new ones. The point is that there are endless companies and brands that you could also work with if you wanted to, right? And again, it's like, what brands, if any, resonate with you, right? And that's like a starting point. But just to say that you can go out and pitch yourself all sorts of places. But I think like one of the other big things in terms of career is just thinking about work-life balance. So there's benefits of having more than one job. There's detriments of having more than one job. Like you can easily find yourself working all the time and burn out. Really finding joy and something you're passionate about and reward in your work. Like I love working with people who are dealing with cancer. It's difficult, it's emotional, and it's like mentally, like clinically very challenging too, even in private practice. But I love it. It's incredibly rewarding that people kind of let you into their team in such a vulnerable time in their life. I really loved working in pediatrics too. It was kind of the same idea. You're really an important part of the team out of the gate, and you don't have to sell yourself in that sense. And it's just great, but it's not for everyone. I mean, there are a lot of people that would find it super depressing and difficult. So you kind of have to think about where you feel happy and what feels meaningful to you. And just know that you've got short-term and long-term. Like, my kids are still home. So I know that when they go off to college, I'm going to be like miserable and crying, but I'm going to be having a lot of time on my hands. So, I want to write a book. I want to do all kinds of things. Like, there's time and space for everything, right? So it's really, kind of thinking about that balance and just yourself and like, timing and money. I mean, you need to make a living. And so, when you're looking at roles, I would definitely, even in a clinical job where there's very little room for negotiation, I think advocating for yourself and negotiating is a good idea. And you can do it in a way that is, you don't have to come in like all like, just like aggressive, but there are a lot of ways that you can negotiate for what you want. And even if salary is not negotiable, paid time off or leaving early for a doctor's appointment or tuition coverage for graduate classes. There's lots of things that you can still try to, get some leverage around. So, don't, it can get discouraging sometimes, but, there's a lot of ways that you can think about that. But I would definitely, I think in our profession, people don't talk about money enough. And it's really shocking when you go to apply for a job. So it's just, they're important conversations to have. So this is my website and my email and my Instagram. So if people do have questions later, you're certainly welcome to reach out. But we have a few minutes, so I'd love to hear any questions or thoughts. If you guys have, questions or concerns, ideas. What does the next generation of nutrition professionals want to do?
As someone that is going to be graduating in May and then hopefully, fingers crossed, starting an internship this fall, how would you suggest for interns, like though we're really, really busy, how would you suggest just like keeping up with things, just making sure that we are like more and more marketable? So when internship ends and we have to go on to the next step, like what would you like suggestions be, I guess, kind of keeping like present in the tech field and just like with LinkedIn or with any other things that that you would suggest?
Yeah, no, congratulations. And I'm excited for you. And I know it's it's like the most stressful week, I'm sure, right now, which is so hard. So yeah, I think it's probably like a balance, right? Like, your main focus is going to be your internship, right? And so you really should let yourself prioritize those experiences. There are going to be days where, you have these long work hours, but you're learning like so much that everything you learn and get exposed to in your internship can help you down the road, even if it's like, okay, I do not want to go into that as my career. You're going to get exposed to things. So I think you will, in some regard, keep up with things just by being present in the internship fully. The other thing is the networking. So hands down, the best way to get opportunities is just really based on who you know. So all of the people that you meet in your internship, your preceptors, the director, other people in the departments, other, clinical staff or whomever, these are all people that could be potential colleagues or potential employers when you're finished. So definitely be very open and focused, I think, on that internship experience. And then I think the staying present on social media or in LinkedIn, I think that's like kind of the next layer. So if you like it, it might be a creative outlet and a stress reliever for you, then that's great. If it's something that is very time consuming and difficult, you really don't need to do a whole lot of it during that internship time, especially in the beginning. I think LinkedIn specifically, you could just update it with your internship role, right? You can like add that to your profile, but then after that, you don't really need to update it again until you get closer to finishing and you're starting to update your resume, you're starting to look for opportunities. Even a couple months before you finish is more than enough time, really, because you're going to also have to sit for the RD exam. So you kind of have to keep those like immediate goals in mind too. And so let's say now, I'm making this up, you're posting 4 times a week. Maybe during your internship, it's like once, or it's like once a month. I think the cadence really can match like how busy you are. Don't focus too much on what's next because you'll miss what's happening now. And that's like such an important time in your career. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, who else? What else? What are you guys like interested in? What are some of the things that are coming up next for you?
I think most of us that are here are kind of in the same boat as Anna. We're waiting for match day on Sunday.
Yeah. That's exciting though. It's exciting. And I mean, I think you guys are all going to do great. And it's like really important to have that positive outlook. But there are, everything happens for a reason. And, if a door closes, another one opens. Like I cannot tell you how many times that has happened. And there are a lot of people who don't match the first time and end up in just the very best situation. And there's just so many opportunities that are out there. So even if you don't get what you're looking for right now, I would say just to be open. There is like, I think like the second match and there's like distance internship, there's lots of other things, but yeah. And if anyone, come next week needs connections or networking or anything like that, definitely reach out to me. Cause I think that's probably my most favorite thing of all besides working with my patients. I love my clients, but is just all the people I've met over the years, and like dietitians, even like all over the country, all over the world. It's like a small network of people looking to support each other. So, good news, bad news, whatever it is. If there's, just hit me up. I know people outside of New England. Just to put that out there. Yeah, no, thanks, Cassie, for inviting me. It was nice to meet you all. It's great to be here with everybody. And yeah, I wish you guys the best. And hopefully everything works out exactly how you want it. But, seriously, don't hesitate to reach out if I can ever be a help.
So I hope you guys have had a great nutrition month, been able to volunteer as much as you could. We're going to be, there we go. That was Miss Stacy. Cassie, if you want to take over this.
Okay, so hopefully tomorrow we'll be doing the Easter basket assembly from 3 to 4:30. It's going to be in Nap Lounge. I think there's like one more spot on the sign-up sheet, but we can use all the help we can get. So, and then Thursday we're going to be leaving from Nap Hall at, oh wait, it went away. I think at 9 o'clock. So we're going to meet for 8:30, pack up the cars, and then leave for 9. That way we can hopefully be there for 9:30, and then we'll all get back probably around 10:15 to campus. So, and then
anything else on baskets, Cassie?
I don't think so.
I think the big thing is if you can't donate your time, if you want to Venmo us stuff, we did have to purchase a significant amount of the basket stuff. So anything will help Venmo wise. And then is Cameron here? Let's see, Cam. Okay, so I'll handle it. All right, so we're still collecting food, pantry clean out. You can drop stuff off at my office. You can leave it outside the food lab. This is another one where we will collect some money via Venmo, and either myself or Cam will pick up food that morning before they go to drop off stuff. So we'll buy cold stuff that will go inside the fridge, but everything we're collecting now is dried goods. And so we've gotten a pretty decent amount of stuff. Some 4-H folks came through, but I would love as much stuff as we can, because the pantries both fridges, they're having a hard time keeping up with stuff and keeping the refrigerators clean. And so if you're ever curious or want to sign up to help Baton Rouge Community Fridge, you can just go to @BR Community Fridge, and they have a link tree to sign up to clean the fridges. And so Cameron will need help on this Friday, to help deliver the items and then organize them. And so that sign up sheet, the link for that will be in the email that will go out after the meeting. All right. Sorry, Cassie, I'm just taking over since you got knocked out.
No, that's okay. I'm so sorry I lost connection.
All right, so I'm going to go through and show you who are our executive board nominees for next year. And so voting will take place the 11th through the 14th. So if you are a nominee, I emailed you last night to ask if you wanted to have an SNDA Instagram takeover to promote yourself and the position you're running for, since there is one person that is going to do that. So I encourage you to sign up, and we'll do the voting between the 11th and 14th. So we'll know by Easter. And so I'll send that ballot out directly to members through the Gmail account that we have. But if you're curious I will obviously show you pictures and names, but if you want more information about the statements that they each wrote, you can go to this little bit.ly, and all of the nominee statements are in that Google folder. And so this one's an easy one. Rachel is running unopposed for treasurer, so she just has to vote for herself, and we should be okay. For secretary, we have Hannah Harper, yay! Olivia, who is our current networking and tech person, and then we have Katie Reyes, who is also running. So we'll have 3 up for secretary. And then for president-elect, we have Grace, Lydia, and Riley. And so, like I said, check out their write-ups if you want to read a little bit more as to their why for wanting to run for each of these positions. So we'll promote this on Instagram and remind you, of course, who's running for what when that ballot is sent out. Okay, so I mentioned this at the last meeting. I did decide to create, just randomly, 4 new awards for SNDA because I want to recognize y'all as much as we can. Since most of our awards are usually around service, I wanted to try to do something else with awards. And so there are 4 awards that will be new awards that will be available. The Mentor of the Year Award, that is for those that are mentors in our program within SNDA, the Tiger to Tiger mentoring program. And so this would be your mentee would nominate you. And so have this conversation with your mentee the next time that you meet and talk about the possibility of getting nominated for that. Our Emerging Leader Award is someone who is a current freshman or sophomore or a new transfer student that's only been here for about a year or two, who's gotten involved in SNDA. And so I want to recognize those that have kind of come out the gate really strong as members and will continue to rise within all that they do with the club. So there's one for that. Our Academic Excellence Award, this is open to all members of SNDA who are in their last or second to last year. So juniors, seniors, or transfer students that don't have much time with us left before they are done. And so this is based off of GPA in addition to having some service points on file. So please record those if you're not doing that, and attending meetings. And so the award aims to recognize students who go above and beyond in the classroom and are still able to maintain a pretty good amount of interaction with the group throughout the year. And then the Member of the Year is an overall membership of the year. So it isn't all of the members of the month qualify, it's anybody qualifies. You just got to submit yourself a nomination. And so it's open to all members. The award will be based on your involvement in SNDA, including your logged service, any additional activity points for all the other stuff that we do, coming to attend meeting attendance, watching the videos, and still signing in, interaction with our social media, and just kind of general involvement and support of the group overall. And so this is that one big award that kind of identifies and celebrates the member that kind of goes above and beyond to really be involved with the group. So if you go to that bit.ly SNDA 22 awards, all of this information is on there in addition to the form. And so if you want to nominate yourself for more than one award, you just have to do individual nomination submissions. And so it submits correctly, and I know exactly what you're submitting for. And then mentees would nominate the mentor, but someone can nominate somebody else for any of these awards if they feel that they qualify. And so you can kind of get a peek of what's required for each award. Requires some sort of write-up of however little or as much as you want to say about how that person qualifies for the award. Our service awards will be the same. So make sure you're logging your service. I just checked it yesterday. I know you guys are doing stuff. So pretty much you need to log anything that I cannot see with my own eyeballs. And so if you're donating money, I check that off. If you're dropping off food, you're showing up to events that I am physically there, I'm usually pretty good about remembering and logging it for you. But if it's stuff you're doing away from campus that we don't know about, that's the stuff that you need to log so that we can give you some points for that stuff. So there hasn't been that much logged in this spring semester. So please make sure that you go in there and get your points and see how things fare with these awards. So we'll still do the gold, silver, and bronze. And then once the executive board gives me 3 names, we haven't decided who the nominees are for the Senior Choice Faculty Member of the Year Award, but it will be 3 faculty, not me. I won it last year, so I won't be in the running again. We'll have 3 people on the ballot that will go out to just graduating seniors in SNDA. So that's kind of the tradition of this award, so that the seniors have at this point had everybody. Some of you don't meet some of our faculty members until your very last semester that you're with us. So to make it fair, we only open it to our seniors to pick that. So we'll send that out once we have the ballot ready and the names ready. All right, March Member of the Month, drum roll. Katie Reyes. She's in class right now, so no shade. she's in food science right now, but yay. Katie's been super involved since day one. I met Katie when she was in high school, and I told her about SNDA, and she and her roommate Lydia are definitely twin flames when it comes to doing all great things. When it comes to SFC, people are laughing because they agree. If one, there's the other. And so they are extremely active in SNDA. So I want to recognize Katie for all of her hard work in hopes that she continues to hang out with us and participate with, on service projects and all that good stuff. All right, I guess I'll do this one too since I made it up. So we're gonna have our last meeting. So Cassie did an awesome job of pre-booking the rest of our speakers. So our last official meeting will still be on Zoom, only because that speaker isn't able to be with us in person. And so we'll meet as usual on Zoom, but the next evening at 5 p.m. over in the Nap Hall Lounge, we're gonna do a little mocktail hour. We'll get some food, and then we'll announce our awards. We'll kind of do like a board changeover. We have a really cheesy boards changeover ceremony we haven't been able to do in years because of COVID. And so it will require me to super glue back together our vegetable wand. It's in my office. And so we'll kind of just, that's our opportunity to actually get together if you want to and see each other in the same room and chat and get to see each other and all that good stuff. And kind of be that year end before finals start to just to hang out. So we'll come up with some fun mocktail recipes and we'll get all the ingredients and oops, sorry.
Right. Well, this is just if you keep it on, yeah. How you can connect with us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tiger Link. We don't really use that though.
And any questions about anything? All right. Well, if the exec board can stay after real quick so we can knock out these nominees for the faculty member award, please do. And then everybody else, thank you. Good luck to the seniors. Match days on Sunday. I'll be watching WrestleMania while waiting for you to text message me. Love you guys.